What's good with it in the hood with it? Welcome back to the Collective Clips where you already know we gets it in, right? Before we get into anything, I want you to hit that like and subscribe button. Make sure that you put that notification bell on all so that way you're abreast of all the dope content I'm bringing all week long because we got a whole lot of more for you. You just know what it is, right? Anime noodle style in a direct fashion. You guys see the thumbnail? So you wonder what I'm going to talk about today. Well, I'm going to talk about something I don't see anyone else talking about. I've never seen anyone else talking about this. And it's a question that's been asked for a long time to me. And I think I have some of the answers, man. I had to look into it a little bit. I had to ask some of the OGs, why exactly this one tattoo is very prevalent and has a historia, has a history in the California prison system and all prison systems. And that's the tattoo trust no man or trust no one. In Chinese letters, you know the old school OGs have it. Hey, Sasuke, what is that, eh? Trust no man. What, you don't trust the fuck? No, you can't trust nobody. And that's exactly the answer that people have been in search for. Why people get certain tattoos in prison? Well, there's a lot of different meanings. You see a lot of people get teardrops and you've heard, the old story that it means murder or attempted murder if it ain't filled in, or maybe you're crying for a loved one or a lost one. And anything that you say goes, right? If that's why you got the tattoo, if there's meaning behind it, personal or gang related, then that's what it is. You see a lot of people get a lot of tattoos in prison because they have a lot of time on their hands. They're bored. I've seen homeboys that are like, just go, homie, get off, get down, do a sleeve, because they want that stigma. They want to look like, everyone else. They want to be all tatted back. They feel like it's a badge of honor or respect. And there's some people that take their time and all their tattoos have very defined meaning. It has meaning. The tattoo Trust No Man is just what it says it is. Trust no man. Now, why was it written in Chinese letters? I don't know. Back in the 70s and 80s, the Chinese lettering was pretty popular, man. A lot of guys were using this lettering because it was kind of coded. It meant something that you didn't quite see with just the fucking regular eye. There's a lot of people that had it. I remember my dad had Trust No Man blasted across his chest real big. He had the Chinese letterings. And I remember when I was a young kid seeing him get out of prison, when he busted out with that, I thought it was cool. Damn, Dad, what is that? He said, I trust no man. I said, you're not even me. He said, you're not a man yet, bitch. You're a boy, right? So that was pretty much that. My Theo had it behind his ear. That's where most people would get it, behind their ear right here, trust no man. I remember thinking when I was a young kid, I'm going to get it behind my ear because I don't trust no one. And the reason why people in prison got that tattoo, it was a symbolization of trust. They had trust issues. You can't trust anybody. When you're in a den of thieves, you expect not to be stolen from. When you're in a den of killers, you expect not to be killed? Come on now, man. Prison is a place, it's a gumbo pot, right? Everyone's thrown in there for various different reasonings, and everybody's from a different city, different vaudeville, different hood, and a different mentality. Some people, maybe their city was more D-boying. Maybe they were into the dope game. They weren't really into that like that. And there's some that were just hitters, killers, bajaderos, and robbers, right? People that were really into take anything you had. So you had a lot of difference going on in prison. And that tattoo right there, meaning trust no man, was because you didn't trust anyone. That showed everyone, hey, I'm up on game. I'm aware of what you got planned for me. When you seen that tattoo, you automatically understood that that guy was very on his own. He was a solo guy. That's why my father had it on his chest. I asked him, he ran me down. He said he got it because it was a popular tattoo, a prison tattoo. It showed symbolisms of prison. Back in them days, a lot of people wanted you to know that they had did some time. They would get clocks on them with missing dials, and or missing times, and they would get pages of the calendar, dates, bars. I got bars all the way across the top of my sternum, across my chest, to let everyone know I was incarcerated and locked up. These are symbolizations and tattoos. A lot of guys that are locked up, no matter what race you are, you want people to know that you've done some hard time or that you've been on a level 4 or a level 3 prison. Back then, level 4s and level 3s weren't too prevalent, meaning no one spoke on it. Nowadays, everyone speaks on it. If you weren't walking a level 4 180 yard homes, you ain't shit. That's how people consider it. And to me, prison is prison. It doesn't matter what side, what yard, what you did. If you were locked up, you did time, homes. I respect it because I've done it and I understand what it is to do it. Not everyone could do it. There's people that lose their mind, lose their traction, lose everything that they have behind doing a little bit of time. There's people that will sit down and tell on everyone because they don't want to do that time. With time comes boredom. With boredom comes complacency. With complacency comes a lot of time on your hands and comes a lot of tattoos. That's why you see a lot of individuals get out of prison with a lot of tattoos. It's not because they have a certain status or they're a little bit harder than anyone else. It's because they had a lot of time on their hands and there's nothing else to do but work out, read books, and tattoo. There's a lot of guys that become very self-sufficient tattoo artists in prison, and they do a lot of work. Now, in some different groups, organizations, and gangs, man, you're going to see certain tattoos. The meanings and the definitions behind them are their own. I'm not going to sit here and tell you what a huelga bird means, or what the 5 steps means in a huelga bird, or what, Azteca work or Mayan work or cultura work means, because there's a lot of different reasons behind it depending upon which group you're from. Of course, if you're a Sureño or a Southsider, them symbolisms, that work, the Nahuatl writing, all that stuff has meaning to it. Not just anyone can get certain tattoos. For youngsters that think that they can get huelga birds over their eyes or behind their necks, right here on the top of their head, or stars, or certain things, man, they're very unknowing and not uneducated onto the reasons why people get these. These are symbols of certain things that you've done in your life. They tell a story. I've always believed truly your tattoo should tell a story. You shouldn't just get a fucking payasa on you because you like clown girls, right? You shouldn't get anything on you just because you want to look cool or think you're cool. You shouldn't get an ice cream cone right here melting because you like fucking Rocky Road. You should actually get things that mean something in your life. Symbolisms of you becoming, whether you're becoming a man or becoming a woman, that's on you. Shit, I don't know what the fuck, right? You're transitioning. But whatever you are, these are the things, that's your story, that's your resume. Most tattoos to most ex-convicts, most guys that have been around the way and really been somewhere, their tattoos are their resume. They tell the story of where they've been, where they're going, what they've done, and where they are. And that's just it. Trust no man is one of these. It's one of the old school versions of letting everyone know, Holmes, that you walk alone. You stand alone on that yard. Why is it in Chinese script? Well, a lot of the old symbolizations from back in the days, the Chinese writing, the samurai sword, a lot of these old Chinese proverbs and verbiage that was put out there it was a showing of old school, an old school mentality, a warrior mentality. When you think warriors, you think Genghis Khan. You think different warriors, in the Mexicano symbolizations of the culture, like the Mayans, you think almost, right? You think Olak. You think a lot of these different things. And so a lot of people will take some of the symbolism from that specific ethnicity and get it on them. To see a lot of Mexicans running around, because it seemed like the Mexican culture was the ones that were adapting to this, and getting this trust no man's in these Asian lettering, this Chinese lettering, you would trip out. Why would they get Chinese lettering on them? And it just showed a kinship to the warriors. That's all it showed, man. That's what it was about. I'm going to let everyone else know, like I said, that you walk alone. See, you got to understand, when you're in prison, and that's why it's considered a prison tattoo. There are people nowadays that are still getting it, youngsters that are getting it, everyone from different cultures that get it, because they truly believe that they trust no one and they want everyone to know, fuck, I don't fuck with you, right? But it was a way of showing people that, when you're in prison, and this is the absolute truth, you are on your own. Whether you're part of a group, an organization, a gang, or anything, ultimately, you have to roll that mattress up every day by yourself. You have to get down on that concrete and push those burpees out by yourself. You have to do everything that you do in life by yourself. You did what you did to get there by yourself, and you're going to do what you got to do by yourself to get out of there. Now, along the way, there's going to be canalismo and some homeboys. If you're in a righteous fashion and if you're walking that general population yard, you're going to be embraced with canalismo, depending upon what gang you're from and what group you associate with. The respect that you gain while you're in prison is totally up to you. No one else could take anything from you. Your story is your story alone. That's one thing I tell everyone. Don't live off the next man's credibility, and don't live off the next man's stories. Live off what you've done in life, Hey, going to prison doesn't make you a man. Being a man while you're in prison does, right? And that's just it. It doesn't matter to me what yard or where you've been or how you've done it. All that matters to me is that you did your time, and I'm glad you got out whole. Some of you, right? Some of you didn't. And that's just it. But I remember, and I talked to a couple people, my Theo had it behind his ear, and I've said that, and I've talked to a couple people, and I was like, hey, why did you get it? What was the meaning of it to you? And one guy, he said, hey, it just was the thing to do at that time. It was a tattoo that everybody was getting. It had no specific meaning other than trust no man. Now, I've heard people say trust no one or trust no man. I always was told it meant trust no man. I go back to the old verbiage of trust no one, because I believe men and women are the same. I believe you can't trust anyone in life. People are constantly trying to get over or get under. It's just what it is. That's part of the game. But there's several tattoos that have different meanings in prison. And a lot of people have told me specifically that they like the aspect of prison tattoos. You know, there's a lot of these youngsters nowadays, a lot of people that are getting work, black and gray work. They want it to look like prison, but it's never quite that. It can never be quite that. Do you understand? Prison is fine line work, man. A lot of it's raggedy unless you get someone that really gets down. You have people that have real good work, man. And you could tell someone who has complete pieces that only one person has done, you know. And if you look very close into a lot of this work, you see a lot of the symbols of things that if you know what they mean, you know what they mean. I remember as a Norteño, we were not allowed to get certain artwork on us at certain times in certain places. I remembered in Susanville, when we actually got a huila and we were told that we could actually now get tattoos below the elbow and on the face and the head. Because prior to that, for a long time, man, we were not allowed within the system to get tattoos displaying our gang on our heads, on our necks. None of that, man. If you look at a lot of the Norteños, a lot of them have chest plates, and a lot of the work that only went up to their fucking elbows, they didn't have no sleeves. And that was because that's the way that it was dictated. That's the way that it was supposed to be. But there's a lot of people, of course, that would go to the streets and get this work and get big huelga birds and things blasted on their head because they wanted people to know what they were rocking, what they're representing. Ain't nothing wrong with that, Holmes. You know, when I was young and I was in the youth authority, all the Norteños there, we all came together. We had a junta and we started to get 14s and XIVs and huelga birds blasted on our face because we wanted the opposition to not only not question us in who we were, but to let everyone know exactly what we were affiliated with and how we were rocking. And there was a lot of Sureños, of course, that of course would get X3s, Treses, Sus, all that blasted on their face and their heads too, because they also wanted everyone to know what they ultimately were representing. Now, I remember a lot of brothers back in the days didn't have too many tattoos on their faces. You know, I remember there was this one cat, I think his name was Madman. He had 60s on his eye. But for the most part, a lot of them didn't. Nowadays, everyone has tattoos of their gangs, of their hoods, of other people's hoods on their face or on their heads because they want to display it. You know, that's become the norm now. You know, back in the days, if you would get out and people seeing that you had prison tattoos, they would walk on the other side of the sidewalk, you know. Nowadays, everybody's together. You see old grandfathers all tatted back. It's just the way it is. But the true meaning of trust no man is exactly what it says, gente. There is no secret hidden message, nothing that I've ever heard of. I could be wrong. You know, maybe someone else could drop their jewel, their knowledge that they didn't get in college about what it means. I know the symbolization of trust no man dates back since the 70s. That's when a lot of vatos that were in prison, man, established a lot of this ink that we do get today. You know, there's a lot of new school artwork, but a lot of the shit that I grew up on in the 90s, we wanted to be old school, man. That's why we had old school Mongolians, like the old fucking, you know, Norteños of the 80s. We wanted to kind of model ourselves after that because that's exactly why we got in the mix. You know, to be like these guys that set the fucking foundation for us, the forefathers. And that's why we did it. There's a lot of the old school mentality of people that are still in prison that get a lot of this old artwork. You know, a lot of these clowns and a lot of these smile not cry laters. I remember my homeboy got a sick ass smile not cry later on his chest. I was like, damn, I'm gonna get me a smile not cry later no matter what. That's the pura 10-5 a key. I want that. I never got one. It just never worked out for me, and I just was never tripping by that time. But I remember as a kid seeing the trust no man also on my dad's chest and thinking, that's for sure. I need that because I don't trust anyone either. Fuck that. We can't trust anyone. And then I never got that either. There's a time and a place for everything, and I never hit that time nor that place. With that being said, gente, I kind of just wanted to give you guys a quick rundown on what trust no man meant. Again, man, a lot of these tattoos, I trip out. I'm flabbergasted is the word on some of these things I see coming out of prison, you know. To say that tattoos have to be earned, in some cases they do, you know, but not to other people, but to yourself. You know, do you want some fucking lightning bolt on your face if you haven't earned your bolts as a white man? Do you want, you know, the country of Africa or certain symbolizations of black power on you if you're not really into that, you know? You know, culturally, we get things that we're not even, this is the way I was taught, man. We get things that we're not even fucking, you know, educated on. Educate yourself before you get this work. Remember, most of this work is permanent, man. It's going to just be displayed. And when people see a certain symbolization on you, they expect you to know why and where you got it. You know, you can't have a huelga bird on you and not know the meaning, the true definition behind it and why you're rocking it. You know, people that I see get it. Yeah, they get it because they want the opposition to know where they're from. Hey, and for that, I commend you, man. Blessings. I was once there with a 14 over my eye. But one thing I will say, and this is facts, is if you get shit on you that you don't really know about or you're really not from, man, that's going to be deciphered and exposed one day. And that just ain't cool. Anyways, with that being said, there it is, man. The meaning of trust no man and several other tattoos. I'm way over them days. I like tattoo work. But everything means something to me. You know, a lot of people say, Gunner, why'd you get that Cadillac sign? Because when you're fucking with me, you're fucking with luxury. You know, it has meaning to it. You know, the meaning is I'm trying to ride up out of this motherfucker in style. And that's it. Anyways, with that being said, I hope that you move smooth with a purpose. That was just a quick jewel just to drop so that you guys have a good weekend and so that you guys are abreast of something that I wanted to put out there. And because a lot of people ask me the question, what does trust no man means? It means fucking trust no man. Thumbs up or thumbs down. Heavy's going to be the head that wears the crown. I'm going to continue to struggle and strive and strive and struggle for what I honestly and truly believe in. And that's giving you the real as I can give it to you, man. Thank you guys for everything. I appreciate it. The gun. Bang, bang.